But yeah, Oxford Union is like and Cambridge Union as well, I guess, is like very, it's a prestigious debating institution, I guess. I'm not a very big debate guy, as you guys know. I said yes to this because, you know, they asked like a long time ago. And also because they wanted to talk about Israel-Palestine. Bassem Youssef has been on it. We'll talk more about this stuff as well. You're going to be in Londonistan? When did you say that? When did you say you were going to be in Londonistan? I don't understand. Why are you going to London? What the hell's going on? Will there be regular streams? The answer is yes. There will be regular streams. I'm going to be streaming the two talks that I'm giving both in Cambridge and also Oxford Uni. I'm going to the fucking Cambridge Union. I'm going to the fucking Oxford Union too. Both unis, lads. We're going there. We're talking about Israel, Palestine. It's going to be a fucking mix-up, right? We're going to do Tesco meal deals. We're going to get some fucking kebabs. That's right, lads. That's fucking right. Yeah. Hogwarts style. Anyway, but yeah, I'm doing those two things. I haven't been like super public about it because, you know, I don't want no to know about this shit. I don't want nobody to know what the fuck I'm up to. You know what I'm saying? You don't need to know. So regardless, we'll see. Make sure you give the speech on this voice. It's the only way they will understand it. Yeah. English people don't understand if you don't have like an accent. So, what was I going to say? Yeah, I got those two big speeches coming out. And apparently Norm was supposed to be debating Benny Morris at Oxford Union, but apparently Benny Morris pulled out because Ehud Olmert, he pulled out of the debate. March is coming with me. March is coming with me to Londonistan. So I'm flying out, and tomorrow at the regular time that I would normally be live at, I will be live from Londonistan. Now the thing is, when I go live, I'm planning on doing my regular Tuesday stream. I also still haven't written a speech, which is crazy. Okay? It's actually fucking crazy that I have not written a speech at all. And the situation is supposed to be about, I'm supposed to be talking about Israel Palestine, and I still have not written a speech. Don't say just let ChatGPT do it. So many motherfuckers have told me that as a joke. Stop it. That gives me so much anxiety. I mean, it's not going to be like a long speech. I think it's supposed to be like 5 to 10 minutes. I told him like the format is 5 to 10 minutes of speech, then a moderated Q&A, and then afterwards just like a regular old Q&A with some people. I know that like I saw the post in my subreddit about Bonercelli's fans being like, oh, I can't wait to infiltrate this speech. What are some good questions I can ask them? Like they're like really stoked on asking me some troll ass questions. I don't know why, but have fun with that, I guess. Like they literally treat me like I'm Charlie Kirk, you know what I mean? Or Ben Shapiro. Like that is how like how big of an enemy I am to these guys, that they're like, "Ooh, Charlie Kirk's coming to my school. What can I do?" It's like, bro, what are you, the Young Americans for Freedom Foundation? Like, what the are you doing? Like, be normal. So, no, literally, look at the second comment. Oh, yeah, they posted this. I didn't even know that they posted this. Where is the discernment of speaker selection gone? Free Oxford from anti-Western operatives. And the anti-Israel committee continues. Is the Gestapo at the helm of the union this term? Isn't this kind of the equivalent of inviting Nick Fuentes? Such a disgraceful move. This standard has been lowered to the degree that streamers and internet boys who peddle in the shallow waters are speaking at Oxford. Taints the prestige and reputation of the institution. I like that they put my qualifications on here. On Thursday the 5th, December at 5 p.m. we'll be joined by the streamer and political commentator Hassan Piker. By the way, Ben Shapiro has spoken at Oxford Union. So I don't think it's that crazy to have someone like myself speak at Oxford Union. Not sure why they think that is like so far-fetched. Ben Shapiro, Ben Shapiro himself is not that far off from myself. And also on top of that, is not exactly the most intelligent guy. Sam Piker, also known as Hassan Abi, is an American YouTuber and Twitch streamer. His content is based around the discussion of news, politics, social issues, and topical events, and he often uses his platform to debate controversial topics or issues. In 2023, Hassan Piker organized a fundraiser following the Turkey-Syria earthquake, which raised $1.2 million for various charities. involved in searching for survivors and supporting those on the ground. Oxford Union is not a part of the uni. I don't fully understand what Oxford Union is. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's a moderated Q&A. Yeah, no, it's gonna be like a moderated Q&A and then a regular Q&A. So Jezza, unfortunately, I will not be linking up with Jezza. I actually made direct contact with him, like a bunch of people after I tweeted that. But he has another thing that he's doing this week, so he won't be he won't be available. But yeah, Oxford Union is like a, and Cambridge Union as well, I guess, is like very it's a prestigious debating institution, I guess. I'm not a very big debate guy, as you guys know. I said yes to this because, you know, they asked like a long time ago, and also because they wanted to talk about Israel-Palestine. Bassem Youssef has been on it. We'll talk more about this stuff as well. Yeah, I saw this one. Bassem Youssef had been on it as well. Talks about Piers Morgan and why Arab Americans seem to prefer Donald Trump. So it's run by the students, not the uni. It's run by the students, not the fucking uni. So yeah, I mean, they've had like Anthony Scaramucci, you know what I mean? It's like, it's not like they're, it's not as serious as people would place it, as people would claim it is. But the mooch, did you ship Kaya off to the London on the PJ? Yeah, Kaya is already in London. Kaya, I have someone sitting for Kaya. And then Cambridge Union came out as well 5 days ago. Cambridge Union is excited to announce that we will be joined by Hassan Piker on Wednesday, the 4th of December. Hassan is one of the leading voices that bridges a young digital generation, progressive politics and culture. After getting his start on the Young Turks, he began streaming on Twitch in 2018, where he became an early pioneer of live stream social commentary. The show Hassan has built on Twitch now boasts over 110 million views and was the most watched channel across the platform in 2022. We'll also be hosting a balloted meet and greet with Hassan after the main event ends. Keep an eye out on our social media for more details on how to sign up for it. No bags allowed. Attendees must be present and their membership card upon entry. Number one Champagne Socialist. Wow, this guy's the least representative of any political reasoning. Bizarre invite. Delicious. Yeah, it's very odd that people just lose their minds over it. And yeah, Hassan coming to my university. What question do I ask? Don't ask him about Destiny. He'll just use it as an opportunity to dismiss you. Better to find some disgusting quote of his, read it out loud, and ask him what he meant by it. I agree with this. Just quote his Tibet take and ask, do you believe that Britain has the right to civilize those African nations? Probably will be good to read more about Tibet at the time. Wait, you don't even know anything about Tibet? Although it's relatively hard to have good sources, it seems like slavery was largely on its way out. I like that these guys in the process of like, the only thing they care about is just basically like dominating me in their minds. Like they just don't have any firmly held convictions whatsoever. Like it's pretty funny. First of all, this is about Israel-Palestine. If you have some questions on that front, you can do that if you would like. Secondly, I just don't understand. Like, what's your Tibet take? My Tibet take was that the original practice of serfdom and slavery in Tibet, instituted by the Dalai Lama, was not good, and that the Tibetans, alongside the Chinese forces, rose up and abolished slavery. Tibet being a autonomous region of under the control of the Chinese Empire, even before Mao, and long before Mao, does not change this dynamic. Like they just previous Chinese empires did not give a shit that they were doing slavery. Mao did, okay, and they liberated Tibet. Now the current form, the current Hanification, or not even necessarily Hanification, but like the current existing relations of Chinese sovereignty over Tibet, that's a controversial subject, and I totally understand why people are frustrated by it. And also in the process, a lot of people were, slaughtered. Having said that, however, I don't think that it is a part of Tibetan culture, I don't think it's a part of Tibetan culture. And the British equivalent between the caste system does not work in the same way, because the English came in, said that they were actually abolishing the caste system, or said the caste system was barbaric, but then utilized the caste system to their advantage. The Chinese governance did not do that. So also depending on the audience, I'm not sure how well liked Ukraine is in Cambridge. Like they don't even care. Brother, if you have a disagreement with me on my commentary on Ukraine, you could just like bring that up. I don't know why these guys are literally like, oh, find something that the audience will hate him for. Like this basically shows that you don't care about the issue at all. Like you don't have a genuinely held point. You don't have a genuinely held conviction on this issue. You haven't even done like any reading beyond the fact that you've seen like bad faith generalizations about like what my position is. And you think that like, I'm not going to be able to have a conversation with you in front of a large audience when, you know, this is going to play itself out in a similar fashion to like a gray name. Anyway, but it's like weird because when I prepare to debate someone, right? When I prepare to debate someone, I don't simply look at like shit that is going to undermine their worldview. Although, you know, that definitely is something I look at. The reason why I do that is because on first principles and also on top of that, like their ideological worldview is directly diametrically opposed to mine. That's why I want to have this discussion to begin with, because I have a position and they have a position. My job in that conversation is to basically showcase the lack of intellectual depth in their position. If your goal here is to simply, you know, troll and masquerade your trolling as though it's some genuine intellectual concern, this is the wrong way to go about it. Imagine having an opportunity to, you know, talk to me in person, right? Imagine having the opportunity to talk to me in person and this is what you're going to do. Like, you're just going to you don't have your own opinions on this matter at all. Like, you haven't even thought about like what my position is. You might be curious about what my position is on a particular matter. And instead you're just like, can you guys give me talking points? Like, that's kind of lame. And people do it in my community as well. And when Charlie Kirk is coming to their campus or whatever, but it's like, we are diametrically opposed to Charlie Kirk's worldview. The question you should ask yourself is, are you diametrically opposed to my worldview? Are you genuinely on the opposing team? And if the answer is yes, how have you arrived at this? You know, I don't think a lot of people understand that if you don't have a real POV on these matters, okay, if you don't have like a real, genuine, firmly held opinion on this matter, and you just come at it with like whatever clips that you've seen that you've misunderstood, you're not going to get your point across. It's not going to look amazing for you, especially when it's shit like, oh, Hassan, why are you anti-Semitic? If you say that, like, you're done. Because I'm not. You know what I mean? Anyway, let's blast off. I haven't blasted off yet. What was I gonna say? Okay, so we got Hunter Biden pardoned. Everyone is mad at Joe. Free him. Free Hunter reactions. What else? The French government is about to collapse. Good. Thank you to Macy's for the playlist. Let's blast off real quick. Former IOF defense minister says Bibi is doing ethnic cleansing in Gaza. I'm more shocked that everyone is mad at Biden for him pardoning Hunter. Yeah. Kash Patel, FBI director, going to be live from Londonistan tomorrow for Oxford and Cambridge Union talks. Get in now. For tomorrow, I'm planning on, so what I was going to do is like, I have one free day, I guess. I have one technically kind of free day, but it's not. It's the first day that I'm there, right? And for that one free day that I have, I was planning on doing like a regular stream. And then after that, I was planning on, planning on, you know, on the regular stream, I was going to do like a Jeremy Corbyn link up, which I thought would have been fun, you know, link up with him, hang out with him a little bit, maybe go to this like, this communist kebab shop, right? With Jezza, the goat, and have like a sit down talk with him, you know, in a private place. But unfortunately, he is not available. I talked to his team. I talked to a bunch of people. And instead, I'm going to be hanging out with Owen Jones, most likely tomorrow. And we'll be doing that instead. That would have been amazing with Corbin. Were you able to reschedule with Coates? Yeah, we can reschedule. I'm going to reschedule when I come back from Londonistan. Obviously, I'm not going to, do that while I'm there. And Lena Khan as well. Yeah, if I hadn't scheduled this London trip like months ahead of time, I would be doing the Lena Khan and Ta-Nehisi Coates interviews this week. Okay. I misspelled minister. I don't fucking care. Who gives a shit? There, I updated it. Okay. Are you happy? What are you going to talk to Owen about? What do you think we're going to talk about? We're going to talk about Palestine. Pulitzer. Wait, what is this? Plus tinfoil hat. UAPs over military bases. Aren't you a little bit too old to be spamming? Why are you calling it Londonistan? Because we've taken over, lad. We've taken fucking over, lad. The Muslim man has taken over. Also, I mean, I can do a link up with Jeremy Corbyn at any time online. But yeah, we're gonna talk about the settler organization. Don't worry. Islamic ray guns. Oh, also one other thing I want to say is I started watching Dungeon Meshi, Delicious Dungeon, and it is Pog. It is very good. And I want to say I apologize to my Discord for routinely yelling at you guys about and saying that shit sucks. I said 4 eps in, and Delicious in Dungeon is a great anime so far. Basically, Zelda's cooking function made into an anime with Studio Ghibli level culinary detail in a dungeon crawler RPG. One problem, it makes me super hungry when I'm watching. It is fantastic. It is fantastic and very cozy so far. I heard that it's like supposed to get very not cozy. It is so beautifully drawn. It's so fantastic. Frieren is next. It's not lame, I promise. Everybody constantly talks about Frieren. I don't know if it's good or not, but it doesn't have the bare bones of what I like. I'll just say it like that. Frieren, unfortunately, does not capture my attention in the same way that like Dungeon Meshi did. But yeah, have you checked out Dandadan? Yes, I have. But getting back to the Oxford Uni and Cambridge Uni thing, now that we've blasted off, okay? So I'm not super familiar with what these Oxford Union, Cambridge Union things are, but I think they're like debate spaces. No disrespect, obviously. I've just heard that, these are important institutions of spirited debate. And in the spirit of important institutions in the spirit for spirited debate, I see that these guys over at the Destiny community have decided to find a way to infiltrate it. I agree. Ask him about this Tibet take. Is so obviously in the wrong. Ask him to discuss why China civilizing Tibet is different than Britain civilizing India. You have to flip it. Don't use a quote as a way to attack him. Instead, praise him for it. I recently got into an argument with a friend of mine who believes that Tibet should be independent from China. You rightly pointed out that China brought modern civilization and culture to them, as they were basically barbarians before China uplifted them. As though I would agree with this framing. I would not agree with this framing at all. I genuinely don't understand why they think this is like an expert, 5-head level of infiltration. Like, I would never fucking agree with that framing. Okay? However, he felt that it wasn't a reason to justify China's rule. What do you think I should say to convince him? I would say that China should not rule over Tibet. And if the Tibetan people want full-blown autonomy, that's perfectly fine. I'm not going to sit here and be like, no, they have to be dominated by the Chinese. But if you're talking about like historical analysis in terms of like, freeing Tibet from the throes of feudalism, yeah, that act I do not have a disagreement with. Anyway, I have often been very critical of Hanification initiatives in general. This was a massive problem with the USSR as well. One of the most consequential aspects of the USSR, one of the most significant aspects of the USSR was Russification. It's not a thing that it's not only is it inappropriate, it's inhumane, but it's also unsuccessful. So I'm not in favor of Hanification either. So claiming that the Tibetans are basically barbarians is really stupid. This is the way. This is devilishly genius. Lol, this might actually do more. You're 100% correct. Also, ask about if the conditions of Uyghurs are genocide. Maybe bring up Palestinians first. Yeah. imagine saying that in a fucking room like the Oxford Union setting to bring up the conditions of the Uyghurs, not knowing what I have, not knowing what my opinion is on this matter at all, assuming that it's like, oh yeah, it's great. China should dominate them, assuming that that's my position. And then simultaneously comparing that to what fucking Israel is doing. Like, really? What Israel's doing in Gaza, it does not meet the standards of genocide. And what China has done in Xinjiang is like infinitely worse. Is this the argument that we're having right now? This is insane. This comparison is ridiculous. Where do you see evidence that China's trying to Hanify Tibet? It's not necessarily Hanifying Tibet, but it's more so having control over it and dominating. Before people start talking about like the Dalai Lama and how he's a CIA agent, okay, I am always going to be of the mindset that you got to let people live. Okay. No, it's comparable. Explain why it's not comparable. Chinese practices in Xinjiang were mass surveillance and re-education camps. These are completely unacceptable acts, okay, upon an entire generation of Uyghur Muslims in this area, claiming that there were separatist extremists. And there were certainly some separatist extremists, but that doesn't justify dragnets. That doesn't justify mass surveillance. And that certainly doesn't justify re-education. The notion that, like, this is comparable to what Israel has done is fucking insane. Okay? I'll take it one step further. If ironically enough, Israel was doing what China did in Xinjiang in Gaza and the West Bank, I would still be very critical of it in the same way that I was when China did it in Xinjiang. But the entire world would applaud how fucking tolerant and how open-minded the Israeli society was. Okay? What are you talking about? Like, one is, like, did China bomb every fucking part of Xinjiang? Like, what are you talking? What are you saying? China is like, Xinjiang is firmly within Chinese territory. Let's say Gaza Strip is also firmly. Wait, you thought the Chinese government was bombing Xinjiang? I just want you to understand, I am still extremely critical of the Chinese practices in Xinjiang. Okay, I've talked about this quite a bit, extensively. I think that dragnet campaigns, mass surveillance, re-education, all of which are completely and utterly unacceptable and inhumane. It does not matter that there are, there were acts of knife attacks or acts of separatist terror or whatever. It still doesn't matter. Like, you can't just like enforce this ridiculous surveillance state regime over an entire group of an entire population. Having said that, however, no, they did not fucking bomb Xinjiang. As a matter of fact, America in Philadelphia has done more to black people than China did in Xinjiang in terms of bombing. Okay, they did a lot more, but in other aspects. But no, there was no bombing campaigns happening. The reason why I brought up America and black people is because the Africa family were bombed in the MOVE bombing in 1985 in a Philadelphia suburb by the Philadelphia Police Department. Okay, nobody ever considers that to be like a fucking mass bombing campaign of black people, and I certainly don't either. Okay. But having said that, yeah, they dropped C4 from a fucking helicopter. They dropped C4 from a helicopter, and the police chief famously said, "Let it burn." Why are we still talking about this? Anyway, Belgium civilizing the Congo is better because the Belgians used the abolition of slavery to stake their claims. Yeah, dude, totally. Belgians actually maintained the practice of slavery. So I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. It was ruthless. It was brutal. It was one of the most brutal, continuations of chattel slavery. Yeah, I would also make sure you have the paragraphs around the quote. Preempt your question with something along the lines of, this quote is not out of context. I can provide you what you were saying before and after if you think it is, so we can't dismiss it easily. Another question I wish Ethan asked about Tibet was, do you think Tibet would return to its feudal slave-owning roots if they were granted independence? If not, relate Tibet to Palestine in the question if you really want to stir the pot. But I think this is definitely one of the more on its face damning things I've heard him say. It would be my choice if I ever had the opportunity to confront him. Like, these guys don't know anything about Tibet, don't care about it at all, don't understand what my position is on Tibet, okay? And simply are just like, this is a great opportunity to fucking attack him. That's it. They're like plotting out they're plotting out a dialogue tree here. This, like, if you genuinely, if this was something that you were like very well versed on, and you felt like I missed the mark on a point of my commentary, that's totally valid. Do you understand what I'm saying? If you're like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, my family is from Tibet, you know? And, you know, this is what I studied in college. Like, I don't fully understand where you're coming from. And you came at it with charitability. Like, I can have a normal conversation with you. But this right here is just like so openly disingenuous where you're just like, I don't know anything about Tibet. And I don't really understand what Hassan's position was on the matter. But I'm going to try to hit this in the worst possible, least charitable framing and try to fucking duke it out in the marketplace of ideas, you know? And it's so funny because, like, I'm not even there to talk about China. Like, I'm not even there to talk about China. Why the fuck am I talking about China? I don't give a shit. Okay? I have no control over China. I barely have control over my own goddamn government. And every time I try to get my government to fucking stop the pain and stop the hemorrhaging and stop the violence, they go, shut the fuck up. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, I don't give a shit. What are you there to talk about? Israel, Palestine. I think I disagree. If you mention Israel, Palestine, he will pivot towards you're just saying Israel bad and you're denying the genocide in Palestine. And my guess is the audience are similar in his beliefs about destruction of Israel, so they will selectively hear. Like, notice how this isn't about, notice how none of this is about like genuinely held positions and real disagreements, right? That's the difference. If this conversation was being held in a like openly right-wing, you know, Ben Shapiro style audience, there would be plenty of disagreements. People will be like, ask him about, I mean, there'd still be a lot of dumb shit like, oh, ask him about how inconsistent it is that he's a socialist but also wealthy, right? So that's number one. They would do dumb shit like that. But ultimately, there would be some disagreements, right? There would be some real disagreements like, why doesn't he believe that fucking, I don't know, free markets are good or some shit like that? These guys literally don't even know why they disagree with me. They don't even know. They've just been primed into believing that I have this other opinion on an issue that they've never thought about or cared about before or after this very moment. They never cared. Their goal is to drag you down and get clips out. Exactly. There is no ideology here. It's just like, fuck us on and that's it. And I guess this guy literally thinks like Israel bad is a unfortunately too popular of a position at Oxford Union. But he also is coming at it with the recognition that it's too popular of a position. So don't even bring up Israel at all at the Israel-Palestine conversation that I'm supposed to be having at Cambridge and Oxford. Like, they literally are like, I don't even give a fuck about Israel-Palestine. Like, I know I have my own personal opinions on it, but I know that if I fucking, you know, brought that up, it would look bad. It would make you look bad if you were to say you're pro-Israel. I don't think so, actually. You're attacking him from the left. Hassan, don't you think the justification you gave here for China invading Tibet, they're still talking about this. Imagine him being so obsessed, not to mention in a Cambridge to a room full of normies. Brother, look at this conversation that you are finding yourself in. Look at this. Imagine him being so obsessed to mention DGG in Cambridge to a room full of normies that have no idea what DGG is, blaming it on like it was CIA, fucking Kino and Derage. First of all, I would not do that. And secondly, you're literally saying that. DDG is openly fantasizing about how they're going to do this. And then they're like, ooh, he's so obsessed. He's so obsessed if he recognizes the thing that we're doing in this thread. You have to literally... Yeah, they're literally doing the AIPAC thing where they go into a Dem primary and attack Cori Bush, not on the Israeli issue because their constituents agree with her about that, but on other stuff. The objective is to discredit any anti-Zionist by any means necessary. I know, but I'm not so certain that many of these people in this community are that fucking invested in the continuation of Israeli dominance in the region. Some of them certainly are, as they are definitely Western chauvinists, definitely want American imperialism to continue, definitely think it's good, but like, they're not directly paid operatives or whatever. This is just the way that they operate for fun, which makes it even crazier. They're not even doing this for money. They're just doing this for fun. Fuck that. Makes me think it'd be good to be unsubtle with questions. You once said you paved the path to your success on your own, yet much publicly searchable information would show that your career was largely fostered by your affiliation with one Stephen Bonnell. Could you expand on that? That would make him look deranged in a room full of normies, so let's do it, lol. Don't ask him what he meant by it. He'll just snake his way out like he always does. Just read off a list of quotes and leave. You got to pretend Trump or someone like Destiny said it. Then once he's done criticizing the quote, just flip it and say it was you. Ask why he drove drunk over and over. What? Yeah, but just don't ask what you did. What did you mean by this crazy quote? That comes off like some low effort Twitter troll. Provide the quote, concisely tear it to shreds with some kind of fact, statistic, or historic parallel to show you're informed on the topic and baffled by his idiocy, and then let him respond to that. Ask him about that quote of him justifying rich college girls getting raped. It's not, might be fun to ask if your college has rich girls enough to justify the rape, or if you meant Ivy Leagues. Honestly, it might be the best one. A lot of rich people on Cambridge, so I make it quite personal. Like, these guys are fucking delusional, dude. Phrase properly, this would be an amazing question. No, you would look like a psychopath. All these confrontational ones are silly and will do more than make him look like a renegade, which is part of his brand. Just ask him about what Mark said about X or Y or Deleuze or Schumpeter or Henry George or whoever's response to it, and he won't anything of substance to say because he doesn't know much at all about the tradition he LARPs is coming from. That would require you to actually know something about Marx. These you will hate read Marx if it allows them to own Hassan, as they should. Sorry, but there's a reason his influence on so many strains of thought across so many fields of study to this day is undeniable. I like that this guy is Marx pilling these fucking weirdos. And you don't simply need to be a Soviet simp or really a Marxist of any kind to seriously engage with this. You do yourself no favors by cherry-picking weaker parts to dismiss the whole output. Yeah, I mean, he's played a very formative role in an entire field called sociology. So I think that, you know, it's pretty valid to learn more about this way of thinking, I think. But if I recall correctly, the guy who made the post isn't even a current student. They're an alum. So a grown man going back to school to let the whole student body know they're an unfuckable loser. I really appreciate your consistent support of the Palestinian sovereignty, seeing as tensions have risen between China and Taiwan and Trump coming in. I'm scared that he won't intervene in this conflict before it's too late. Why are the conservatives in the U.S. government against advocating for the Taiwanese people to help them keep their land? Glaze, plus he will either have to say China bad, Uyghurs, Hong Kong, anti-democracy, which is bad for tankies because more U.S. intervention, or he will have to say one country, two systems like he did on Leftovers and look like a fool because how can you justify what China is doing well? Bonus points if he says that and you follow up with, but we wouldn't accept that solution for Israel-Palestine because then China would be like Israel. I'm so sad about the stupidity and the lack of intellectual curiosity in this community that is supposed to love these kinds of like heated debates and discussions. For a community that that believes that the truth only comes out in the marketplace of ideas against interlocutors, they seemingly spend a good amount of time trying to actively suppress parts of their brain that might actually, listen to things in a more charitable fashion and perhaps even understand a very different way of looking at the world. They're really talking about an annexation that happened almost 75 ongoing genocide. I know. Apparently you are now a banned subject on the subreddit and posts like this now get deleted. They want to look like they never talked about you. Yeah, but unless they fucking nuke, and I mean when I say this, thousands, tens of thousands of posts that they've made prior, which that would be awesome if they did that. Yeah. Also, it's pretty funny because it's like I'm a one-stater, so I guess one state for Taiwan and China in their fucking worldview. I don't know. Cambridge is a debate board center of the UK. You won't need these weirdos to get some odd questions. Yeah, I know. I wonder what leak recently that has them covering their ass. Yeah, I wonder why they. I wonder why they are making these decisions actively. I don't know. Maybe they're just like moving the unhinged stalker shit to LSF, which is now apparently completely allowing politics and also allowing, Destiny says this about Hassan type clips again. I wonder how that happened. Perhaps it has something to do with the fact that a person that once ran for Orbiter of the Year in Destiny's community, that's a real fucking competition. That's how big of a fucking cult they are. Is actually now the top moderator, the head moderator of Livestream Fails. So they're just going to move their operations over there, I suspect. The stalking shit. So it's not so personally directed, especially considering that Destiny has openly advocated the brigade anywhere and everywhere that I mentioned, which they were already doing. Do you think they're going to 4chan instead of Reddit, or are they experiencing splinter Reddit discourse in their community? I don't fucking know. I don't follow it that closely. You guys just put this shit in front of me. Ask him why he constantly criticizes the US, but doesn't use any of his wealth to help improve any of the things he criticizes. Wait, okay. That's a great opportunity. Ask him about Crimea, Uyghur camps, Taiwan independence, or the Houthis. Old enough to count, old enough to mount. He's not equipped to answer any substantial question based on what I've seen from him. He was a double major in political science and communication studies, but only on the bachelor level. Communication studies is mostly nothing burger to begin with. Although political science is more substantial, I say its influence is overblown compared to the expertise they bring. But what bothers me most is his attitude. He acts like he knows everything, does no research, and is overconfident in the little he knows. Not really the attitude of a guy you can learn from. I have no idea what your school administrators are thinking. It's like inviting Tucker Carlson for a talk. They have invited Tucker Carlson to a talk. I suspect that they've invited worse people than Tucker Carlson. So A deorbiter getting ready to ask tough questions. Yeah. A fan of a music school dropout. Yeah. I mean, look, I'm not gonna shit on I'm not gonna shit on Divorcelli dropping out of music school. I don't really care about that shit. You can be like an empathetic person without a college degree who has like firmly held convictions, a decent moral compass that guides your politics, and an interest to do better for your fellow man. And I'll be right by your side. You know, I'll be there for you. I like my degree doesn't make me more valid. Ben Shapiro graduated from fucking Harvard Law. He went to UCLA for undergrad and then Harvard Law. These are some of the best institutions in the country. It doesn't really matter. It plays no, like, your background and your educational attainment does not matter to me even a little bit. I don't care about that shit at all. I know plenty of dumbasses that went to some of the best schools, and I know plenty of brilliant people that went to no school, right? It really doesn't matter. My disagreements with Destiny stem from the way he tackles certain issues and the way he positions himself in every conversation, and the genuine lack of intellectual curiosity that fosters in his own community. I don't think his community understands that either. Like, I get very frustrated about that, because they just completely fucking shut off certain they actively work to shut off certain points of contention. Have you considered, however, that you don't do enough to support the DNC and therefore your access should be cut off somewhere? Very smart politics understanders have said this. Yeah.